is so good to see you guys tonight. Tout d'abord, merci Mélanie.
First of all, thank you, Melanie, for your kind words. Thank you for your work here at home or with our allies across the world.
I also want to take a moment to give a very special thank you to Suzanne Cowan. Suzanne, you've been on the front lines since 2013. You've knocked on thousands of doors, connected with Canadians in every province and territory. Our Liberal movement wouldn't be the same without you. And even though this is your last convention as LPC president, you will always be part of this Liberal team as one of our chief volunteers. How about a huge round of applause for everyone from Suzanne?
Friends, it's such a pleasure to see you here at the Liberal National Convention 2023. It's inspiring to see you here this evening and to know why we're here. We're here to improve our country together. I have to tell you that it's good to get together again after 5 long years since Halifax. I'd also like to pay tribute to all those who have participated in Liberal conventions for decades now. Thank you for your dedication over the years through our successes and our dark times as well.
Of course, to everyone who's here for the first time, welcome. Actually, hang on. Just a second. Show of hands. Who's here at their very first in-person Liberal convention? Now, let me tell you, your first Liberal convention is always an amazing thing. Anyone here can tell you stories from their first conventions. The friends you make today, the experiences, the memories, they'll stick with you for a lifetime. So everybody else, let's give these first-timers a huge round of applause and welcome. But to everyone here, thank you for stepping up. With your ideas and your enthusiasm, we will continue to make our Liberal movement bigger and stronger. More than ever, in this consequential moment in the world, your energy is needed, all of you in this room and all of you across this country. It's because of your hard work that we can continue to deliver for Canadians. For every phone call, for every door you knock, for every conversation you engage in, you make our democracy stronger. So thank you. Merci pour tout ce que vous faites.
Thank you for everything you're doing.
My friends, as you saw from the video, 10 years ago, on a stage much like this, I made a promise. I promised that I would begin, spend, and end every day working hard for Canadians. I said I would spend every day working hard to make sure we can leave our children a better world than the one we inherited from our parents. At the time, we were still reeling from the 2008 financial crisis when Canadians, especially young Canadians, were telling us how worried they were about their future. And we needed to change that. You'll remember that in the mid-2010s, people in North America were faced with a political choice. One that offered to burn it all down with fear and anger, to attack our institutions, to isolate and to throw blame around. The other option was to get to work fixing it. And that's the choice Canadians made in 2015. You chose hope over fear, hard work over anger, sunny ways over cynicism. In
2015 and again in 2019 and again in 2021, you chose a positive vision of the future. You chose to support the middle class and those working hard to join it. Today, we have a new choice to make. And this choice is more important than ever because the world is changing very quickly, because there's more polarization than ever, because there are new challenges after a historic pandemic, because we see the real effect and terrifying impact of climate change as well, because a new war in Europe threatens peace and prosperity that we've known in the world over the past 70 years and more. We face a whole range of challenges today.
This is a moment of uncertainty like none of us have ever seen in our lifetimes. And in this moment, as Canadians, as Liberals, we must remember who we are. The world is changing fast, but our top priority will always remain building a better today and tomorrow for you and for your kids. This is the foundation of everything we do. And this is exactly what I want to talk about tonight, the positive future that we are building together. See, confident countries invest in themselves. And since 2015, we've been investing in Canadians in a deliberate and strategic way.
Every time we create a new policy or we announce new investment, one of the first questions we ask is how will this help the middle class and all Canadians as well?
When we created the Canada Child Benefit, we said, let's put more money back in the pockets of families who need it to help moms and dads with the costs of raising their kids. When we stood up to Donald Trump and renegotiated NAFTA, we worked hard to fight for Canadian jobs and our hardworking middle class. And more recently, when we invested to help ArcelorMittal Dofasco in phasing out coal-fired steelmaking, we did it because we knew that the demand for clean steel would only grow. We did it so we could secure great jobs for workers for generations to come. This is all part of what Liberals stand for. This is all part of our plan to not only withstand future storms, but thrive. Les politiciens conservateurs disent
The Conservatives say that we shouldn't be investing in workers. We saw this a couple of weeks ago when Pierre Poilievre criticized our historic agreement with Volkswagen.
As you know, Volkswagen will build their first North American gigafactory for EV batteries in the small town of St. Thomas, Ontario, which will create thousands upon thousands upon thousands of great jobs. This will be a national anchor for Canada's electric vehicle supply chain. Nos travailleurs.
Our workers are the best in the world. International companies are well aware of this. This is why they have chosen to invest here in Canada and in our workers. We have one of the highest education rates in the world, and our immigration policies attract skilled workers from across the world. We're growing our economy while we're tackling climate change and while we're strengthening supply chains. We're doing all that at the same time. That's a forward-looking vision. That's an economy focused on the welfare of all Canadians.
We're making sure that everyone benefits. And companies, but also leaders on the world stage, are noticing. When Prime Minister Kishida of Japan visited Canada, he said that he looks to what we're doing to build an economy that leaves no one behind. When we hosted Chancellor Scholz of Germany, he talked at length about our values of compassion and diversity. They know that we have the democratic values that make us reliable. We have great resources and even greater workers. But what ties this all together, what makes Canada really valuable, is we treat people with the respect and dignity they deserve. We care about equality. We care about reconciliation. We care about justice. It has never been more clear that everything is interwoven. But again, Conservative politicians just don't get that. They don't connect the dots. They either say investing in Canadians is a waste of money, or that our policies are too woke. Too woke? Hey, Pierre Poilievre, it's time for you to wake up. Wake up. Wake up to the fact that a gender-balanced cabinet is a good thing and that women fully participating in the workforce is a good thing, not something to snub when it gets a shout-out from the President of the United States in our House of Commons. Wake up to the fact that under our government, fewer persons with disabilities are facing poverty, and in fact, Canada's poverty rates has been cut in half since 2015. Wake up to the fact that more moms are building careers because we've made childcare more affordable. And by the way, when we see that women's participation in the economy has reached an all-time high, let me tell you something. $10 a day childcare is not woke policy, it's economic policy. Now, we all know that some of our opponents will try to clip some of my words out of context tomorrow to make it sound as if we think that everything is just fine. But this is not what I'm saying. Too many Canadians are struggling. On sait qu'il y a encore beaucoup de travail.
We know there's still a lot to do. We know there are far too many families who are finding it tough to make ends meet. This is why we're taking steps to put in place programs like the grocery rebate that'll help thousands of people, or millions of people even.
Weeks speaking with thousands of Canadians in town halls across the country. Now, their questions are pretty far removed from the ones I hear from Conservative politicians in the House of Commons. Canadians want to talk about childcare and dental care. They want to be talking about building a cleaner future, building a better future, because we're a nation of builders. Now, in February, I met with members of the Carpenters District Council of Ontario. There was a guy, Michael, a concrete formwork carpenter. He told me he and his crew had just finished building an addition to Sick Kids Hospital. He was really proud of it, and rightly so. But he also told me that sometimes he feels like the kind of skilled work that he does can be taken for granted. Michael, Canadians don't take you for granted. Actually, you know what? Let's show them. Everyone today in this room, please stand up. I want you to give the biggest of standing ovations for Michael and for the workers just like him who build our hospitals, homes, roads, and our country every single day. Now, workers like Michael, they spend their days building things up. And they should inspire us all. Because as Liberals, our vision is to lay a solid foundation for Canadians so they can be empowered to build up their dreams. This is why the choice we'll all face in a couple of years at the next election is so fundamentally important. You see, we want to build things up while Pierre Poilievre and his brokenist Conservative Party want to tear things down. We want to provide dental care for families. He says no. We're bringing an EV battery gigafactory plant to Canada and creating thousands of jobs. He says no. We put a price on pollution while giving money back to families. He says no. We want to protect and promote our two official languages. He says no. And he wants to shut down CBC Radio-Canada. Now let's be honest. It just doesn't look very serious to have the leader of the official opposition exchanging memes with billionaires in the US to undermine Canadian independent institutions. Canadians, especially in our small towns across the country, rely on the CBC for their local news. CBC
Radio-Canada serves millions of Canadians across the country. Radio-Canada plays an essential role in advocating for and promoting the French language across Canada. The media landscape is changing. Of course it is, and we'll have to adapt to that. Of course, it's difficult, it's tough, especially given the competition from web giants. But just because it's difficult, is that a good reason to abandon our artists, our language, and our heritage, or to go after press freedom? No, quite the opposite, in fact. When the going gets tough, you must roll up your sleeves and you have to fight twice as hard. I have a message for our creators across the country. We have your backs. Just as we had your backs during the pandemic, we'll always be there for you, for arts and for culture as well.
My friends, we've made progress over the years, but there's still so much work to be done. And we have to be honest and clear-eyed about it. In the past years, we've built and renovated 1.8 million homes across the country, but families still need more affordable housing. We've lifted 138 long-term drinking water advisories, but we need to continue relentlessly until we finish the job. And by the way, everywhere there's still a long-term drinking advisory left, there's a project team and an action plan in place to resolve it. We need more mental health support and more help for those living with substance use and addictions challenges. So we're following the science. We're investing in healthcare, in patients, in nurses and doctors, but we know we've got to keep provinces on track to deliver results. This is Canada. It is not broken, but we're Liberals, and we know that in Canada, better is always possible. And this is why we have to be at our best. Canadians are counting on us, on our positive vision for the future, because the alternative is too bleak. Pierre Poilievre's populism, his slogans and buzzwords are not serious solutions to the serious challenges we're facing. Est-ce que le populisme de Pierre Poilievre va vous faire voir?
Will Pierre Poilievre's populism allow you to get a doctor's appointment more quickly? Will his cuts help a young person to find a house? Will his slogans create more jobs in our communities? Will they? Not really, no. He doesn't really have a serious plan, does he? Telling people to invest in cryptocurrency to avoid inflation, that's his plan. Cozying up to anti-women's groups on YouTube.
Illegal occupations that blockaded our streets and borders for weeks. Parroting the talking points of the gun lobby. Partnering with a group that said it was a myth that residential schools robbed Indigenous children of their childhood. Keeping MPs in his leadership team after they were happy to dine with a xenophobic German far-right politician. That's the exact opposite of responsible leadership. But this is what the Conservative Party of Canada has become under Pierre Poilievre. Even Aaron O'Toole knew that. Before he left, he admitted that members of the Conservative Party went deep down into the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories during the pandemic, and they show no sign of coming out. It's quite telling that when Pierre Poilievre sat down with President Joseph R. Biden a month ago, he used his precious time to complain about vaccine mandates. Not borders, not jobs for the middle class, certainly not Ukraine, but vaccine mandates. Se servir de la misinformation.
Using misinformation and disinformation to whip up anger. That's not a viable solution for the future, is it? So what can Liberals do to tackle this negativity?
Do we share our positive message with Canadians? Well, we need to show Canadians every day that our plan is grounded in a better sense of what the future holds for all of us. You know, you often hear me talk about creating jobs, but it's actually about so much more than just that. In St. Thomas, Ontario, when a major auto assembly plant closed in 2011, people lost their jobs. But when these things happen to communities, they don't just lose jobs. They also lose sponsors for kids' hockey and soccer teams. They lose revenue for family-owned businesses. Kids move away. We all know what happens when the company leaves. It hollows out communities. It affects all Canadians, regardless of the party they vote for on election day. C'était la même chose pour le chantier Davy.
It's the same thing with the Davy shipyard in Lévis. When Stephen Harper excluded Davy shipyard from the National Shipbuilding Strategy in 2010, he didn't only endanger jobs, he endangered whole communities as well.
We talked before about Conservative Canadians being our family members, our friends, and our neighbors. All Canadians, no matter who they vote for, they know the value of thriving communities. You know the value of an investment that brings a local plant to set up shop and create hundreds or even thousands of jobs in your town. But apparently Pierre Poilievre doesn't. He doesn't seem interested in building strong communities. He's too busy building anger. Many Conservative Canadians feel abandoned by what the Conservative Party has become. They haven't left their party. Their party left them. But our approach is to always be there for all Canadians. Notre mouvement libéral va continuer d'être.
Our Liberal movement will be there for all Canadians, be you a newly arrived immigrant or an Aboriginal person whose ancestors have been here for millennium, be you a farmer for 6 generations,
Collar, energy worker. We are building a future for you, for your community, and for your kids. My friends, the world is changing fast. COVID, social media, wildfires, Ukraine, AI, hurricanes, demographic changes, an economy that's shifting. It's normal to feel disoriented. Liberals, Conservatives, rural, urban, west, east, north, all Canadians, we have to be there for each other. And we have to navigate through this together with clear eyes and steady hands. When President Biden came, he said that he had never been more optimistic about the future that we are building together. This is the type of excitement we need to tap into when Conservative politicians are amplifying fear, anger, and resentment. As progressives, let's be confident about what we stand for. When trolls try to bait you into their culture war talking points, don't fall for it. Instead, ground yourself in what we're working on, this great unfinished project of a nation. A Canada that every day builds a healthier democracy. A Canada that creates meaningful careers for workers in a clean economy. A Canada that stands up to authoritarianism whenever it rears its head. A Canada where women always have the right to choose. A Canada
that listens to facts and science. A Canada which takes reconciliation seriously. A Canada which protects the environment. A Canada where we build a prosperous future for our kids and our grandkids. A better Canada for everyone.
Now, none of this is easy. And sometimes we get bruised up, but it's worth the fight. This great country didn't happen by accident, and it won't continue without effort. Liberals, Canadians, in these serious times, let's continue to work hard on serious solutions. And my friends, when the election comes, when Canadians need to make a consequential choice in this consequential moment, it will be the honor of my life to lead us through it and continue building a better future. So let us fight this fight together. Merci, mes amis.